So I've just arrived at the Ishiwa Onsen station in Fuefuki city of Yamanashi Prefecture. It only took me about an hour and a half to get here on a direct line straight from Shinjuku. So this place is really perfect for a day trip or an overnight trip from central Tokyo. Ancient records actually show that wine and grapes have been cultivated here for over a millennia. I've not really tried much Japanese wines before, so I'm really excited to taste a wide variety during my stay here. So the Tourist Information Center is actually right next to the Ishiwa Onsen station. This tourism center is quite unique as it actually has a wine dispenser of all the local wines from the Yamanashi region. I've never really been to like a station with a wine dispenser before, and how exciting, the very first stop after arriving to the Ishiwa Onsen station, you get to immediately try lots of local wines. Let's go for some wine tasting, shall we? So it's quite interesting. It says that this is the only station in the world with a wine server. I'm not sure if you can see it over there. And we get to try up to 16 different types of local wines. I guess maybe they rotate once in a while, but right now we have 16 here on display. And let's see and try to figure out how this works. So it says we can choose, 3 different volumes of wines in the glass. So it's 100 yen for 30 milliliters, 200 for 60, and 300 for 90. Okay, that makes sense. It's in 30 milliliter increments. And let's see, what should I have? So there's some white wines, special dry wine. Oh, this is some local Fuefuki wine, so it's right from this city itself. Others are from Koshu. And oh, they even have some sweet wines. Interesting. And nigori wine. That's really interesting because that means cloudy wine in Japanese. I wonder what that tastes like. I've never heard of a nigori wine before. Usually nigori is only referring to Japanese sake when they make unfiltered sake, so it comes out with that cloudy kind of consistency. Anyway, let me try and use this and let's see. So I think I'll try a 50 milliliter one, so that's going to be 200 yen. And how do I choose from here? I think I can try the one I just saw, the nigori wine. So that's 200, click there. And put some money in. Okay, then what happens? Oh, it's automatic. Don't need to press anything. Where do I get the glass? Okay, so I got my glass. And now that's the wine I picked. Tasting glass right here. And yeah, I can actually see that there's some nigori consistency. It's actually a little bit cloudy. Let's see what it says here. It is 8% alcohol. And it's rosé nigori wine. It actually seems to be the first harvest of this particular winery, and this year's harvest, 2022 it says here, and made from the local grapes. So I think muscat grape? Not sure. Very sweet and light and very fruity. Definitely goes very well for like a daytime kind of drink or just as a break, maybe with some cake or a snack. Definitely not as heavy as a red wine. And it's actually, I think it's even lighter than most rosé wines that I've tasted before, but I quite like it. It tastes more like a, in some ways more of a soft drink and fruit juice that is still kind of slightly alcoholic. This is kind of cool. I never really knew how many different kinds of wines from Japan there actually are until seeing them all together in kind of in one place. And this is only a small selection, but I guess they are kind of going through all the histories of different kind of wines available in the local wineries. According to local legend, Yamanashi Prefecture was actually visited by a famous monk in the Nara period, so around the 700s. And that monk had a vision while he was here of the Buddha of medicine and healing holding a bunch of grapes. And it was from this vision that he was inspired to teach the locals how to grow grapes and make wine. Isn't that interesting? And so the records show that Fuefuki City and Yamanashi Prefecture have actually been growing wines and making grapes and wines for over a millennia. However, it was not until the Meiji period, around the late 1800s, that two local winemakers went to Champagne region in France, and there they learned the French way of winemaking. And once they returned to Japan, they actually brought all their knowledge and skills back with them. And that is how the Yamanashi region became super famous locally for winemaking. Right now, there are about 80 vineyards in this region, and they constantly produce wines and even entering a lot of international wine competitions. So here, I guess, are some of the selections that the locals would really like visitors to know about and try during their stay here. This is really interesting. They even have it in bottles, really easy for you to drink. I think it's almost like, in this way, it's almost like fruit juice and not so much wine in the traditional sense in a glass bottle. Definitely excited to try many different kinds of wines. So I'm just nearby walking around the station right now, and it's just absolutely amazing. The air is so fresh, the sky is so blue, and although it's a little bit chilly because it is winter, it's so sunny that it makes up for it. And the views here are amazing, you know, so different from what we see in Tokyo with all the skyscrapers and the skyline. Just here you can look out and you see all the mountains and the mountain ranges with snow-capped peaks. It's just really beautiful and really relaxing. It's hard to believe that this area is only about an hour and a half away from Tokyo. You can literally come here on a day trip and come into this vast expanse of nature. There are birds chirping, you know, you can hear water trickling around, so it's really great. Totally recommend. This has been really refreshing. So we're in front of Kosaku right now. After walking around a bit at the station and having a long train ride over, I'm a bit hungry. So this place is recommended for the local food of Yamanashi. It's a dish called hoto, which kind of looks like udon simmered in miso soup, but apparently the locals do not consider it udon because the way of making the noodles is more similar perhaps to dumplings. And this hoto is often served in vegetables, local seasonal vegetables, or pumpkins. So I'm excited to try it. I've never had it before. Let's go in. So I just got seated, and this restaurant really just serves primarily just hoto, their local cuisine, and like all different kinds of hoto. They have this cute little illustrated drawing here on how you should order at a restaurant, and even like a little illustrated map of the restaurant. Isn't it cute? So it tells me here that, you know, the most popular is actually the pork hoto. But on this menu, it says that the most famous and traditional dish is actually the pumpkin hoto. So I think I'm going to try the pumpkin hoto. There's the rankings of the different dishes. So number 1 is the pork hoto, and number 2 is the traditional pumpkin hoto, and number 3 is duck hoto. From what I understand, hoto is actually made from rice flour. So in that way, it's not, although it looks like udon, the locals don't actually consider it udon because they consider it's like more in the style of like dumplings. And historically, the reason for this was because in the Yamanashi area, because we're so close to Mount Fuji, a lot of the soil here is quite volcanic, which means that it was really hard for the local farmers to grow rice, which is commonly the staple food in the rest of Japan. But as a result, in Yamanashi, the staple food is actually made of flour, which is why there's a lot of bakeries around as well in like modern Yamanashi times. But in the traditional times, they made hoto. And they say that there's also a legend here of how like a famous warlord would always eat hoto before his battles, and he was very successful as a result. I'm not sure how true that is, but it's quite interesting. Yay! Hi. Okay, so you just told me that it's really hot, so if I want to move it, I should use the wet towel. But it seems like it comes in a black bowl, and the sign over there says that this black bowl may leave some ink or black marks on your hands and clothes if you touch it, so you should be careful. So I'm guessing these are like mountain vegetables, because traditionally they always make it with seasonal vegetables. The consistency and the texture of the noodle is really what makes it unique, I think, and it definitely fills you up. So right now, I'm visiting the Hotel Kohaku-en, a hotel in Fuefuki City in Isawa Onsen. So this hotel was established about 58 years ago, I believe. And today I'm going to meet the CEO of this hotel, Mr. Furuya, who's going to tell me a bit about the hotel's history, as well as show me his restaurant that they have recently renovated.
こっちが4人テーブルとか。
Table for 4 people? It's good for groups. It's not a
そうそう
privacy.
そう。
Oh, kirei. It looks beautiful like that. So they make it very wide because this restaurant serves like Japanese kaiseki cuisine. And so because there are many, many dishes that come out at the same time, so they need a bigger space and a bigger table to lay it all out. Lanterns are also made of traditional Japanese washi paper. So Mr. Furuya, the CEO of Hotel Kohaku-en in Isawa town of Fuefuki City, would like all of our foreigner friends to know that he has recently spent a lot of time and effort to renovate the hotel, including this restaurant, which has tables instead of having people sit on the floor, as well as every single room, which has Western-style beds instead of the typical tatami mats and futons that people sleep on the floor in the Japanese ryokan, so that Westerners and more foreigners can all feel more comfortable at his hotel. So if you ever come to Fuefuki City, do not miss a chance to stop by the Hotel Kohaku-en. Thank you.
Hi.
I'm at the main attraction in Fuefuki City, which is the Sakura Onsendori Street. This street is lined with 173 sakura trees. In the spring, they bloom into cherry blossoms, but in the wintertime is when the magic really starts. The town has put up over 500,000, or around 550,000 LED lights along these trees. They're so beautiful and really light up the night. I feel like I'm surrounded by thousands of stars. I'm at a local izakaya called Aisaku, which I've heard is really popular amongst the locals. And I've ordered some local dishes here. This is the otoshi, so the cover charge. And then I have here like horse meat hamburg. So apparently the horse meat is made from Yamanashi, and this is some local food that people eat here a lot. So I've never really had horse meat hamburg before, so I'm quite curious to see what it tastes like. It looks like regular hamburg though. So here we have what's called tsukune. It's basically chicken meatballs, but also mixed in with cartilage, and there's mustard and also a raw egg. So traditionally, how people eat tsukune is they would dip it into the raw egg. So we have here some horse meat sashimi made in Yamanashi as well. Supposedly from the menu, this is the number 3 most popular and often ordered dish. So I think I'll start with the horse meat sashimi. I've not really had horse meat from Yamanashi before, specifically. Since I have ginger and I'm not really sure what that is. Garlic. I don't know why it's green, but green garlic. Probably they mixed it in with wasabi, my guess. It's quite chewy. Pretty good actually, better than I expected. It kind of actually tastes like tuna to me, and also the color is quite similar. So it's more chewy than normal fish sashimi, but definitely not as stringy or tough as I would have thought. Definitely very different from like beef carpaccio, for example. Also surprisingly good. It actually really doesn't taste that much different from a regular hamburger, aside from the fact that it's quite medium rare. So I think a lot of people may not really like raw egg, and that's totally fine. You can just skip it and just use the mustard instead. But you know, there's lots of food in like Chinese cuisine and all around Asia that uses a lot of raw egg as well as dips, and I personally really like it. For example, there's like shabu shabu with like a lot of raw egg, or sukiyaki with raw egg. It's yummy. So different from a regular like chicken meatball, because there's like cartilage bits in it. It's actually quite crunchy. I really like that texture. It adds a lot of, oomph to it. But taste-wise, yes, it is a chicken meatball, so it tastes like a chicken meatball. And the sauce of the raw egg just makes it feel a little bit more, I guess some people would say slimy, but it gives it that, smooth texture, because the chicken meatball itself can be a little bit dry on the inside. So it makes it really moist. Bon appetit!